Previously on the healing session.
I didn't understand the situation with you. You had to be in a situation that you weren't comfortable with because your mom would not take you back in. Because I was saying, I would have conversations with other people, but why can't she just go back home?
I think that there's so much that we need to unpack from our initial conversation. Mm-hmm. In our previous conversation, you said that, you felt like I was fast.
But see, I said you were fast, but you don't know what information was given to me. Michelle, which was aunt, she was the one that brought me the information about you.
So I want to unpack fast because if you were 19 and his father was 50 and his father was married, how can you then look at me and say that I was fast?
There's certain conversations you just don't know how to have.
Hey.
You guys are estranged. Wasn't your mother the one that didn't didn't want you to come and live with her, and you were living in a shelter?
So the last time we sat down, you mentioned that I, being Richard's wife, should have inspired him in some sort of way for him to have a relationship with you. And so my question is, how was I supposed to do that if we didn't talk?
Well, you're a woman, Tiffany. You're a woman. If you had a child that was, and I don't really actually understand where mine and Richard's relationship went awry. I think it was because of that thing with his father. Because he was hearing so many people saying stuff he couldn't decipher, and at that mind he really wanted to get to know this man, because this is a person who with me, we had a child together. So I think he really was listening to so many people that were saying, oh, your mom was wrong, oh, this was wrong, oh, she should have told you this, or she should have told you that. But he never really sat down to hear my perspective on it. That man was not a good man to me. Okay, so to get back to your question, what was the question again?
How was I supposed to know?
Because I felt that you're a woman.
Desire.
Okay, I felt because then having conversations. I'm not good with having that kind of conversation. And sometimes talking to Richard, he is very opinionated, and he's going to have his own view. I didn't know how to.
That from?
I wonder. Question mark. But I did not know how to sit there and have that conversation. And I did not want the conversation to end up in a bad space where we're both yelling and screaming at each other, because that's not a healing session. You see what I'm saying? That's not healing. Both yelling, me telling him what it was for me in being in that situation with him. He's going to say, well, he couldn't possibly have done that. Or he couldn't possibly have done that to you. You can't live my truth.
What I'm saying is, had you come to me and said, hey, Epiphany, I know that, like you said, you struggle with that, or have struggled with that in the past, but had you come to me and said, hey, Epiphany, I really would like to have a closer relationship with my son, how do you think I should go about it? Because it seems like, you're the closest person.
But Epiphany, I understand that question. I really understand that. And I'm not trying to make light of it. But how was I to come to you and tell you, I think that you should have a relationship with your mother? You think that how would you have reacted if I would have came to said that kind of question to you? You and your mother are estranged as well. So there's certain conversations you just don't know how to have.
Well, we're not estranged, and had you, being a mother, come to me and said, hey.
You guys are estranged. Wasn't your mother the one that didn't didn't want you to come and live with her, and you were living in a shelter?
Yes.
Okay, so how is that not being estranged?
But we still can have conversations, because like I said, I extend grace to people. You know what I'm saying?
And
she didn't know how.
And see?
You see
there it is right there. She did not know how.
Right.
I did not know how. To even come to you to talk to you to ask you about that.
But I'm saying,
now come on, let's not contradict the story.
No, I'm not contradicting anything.
Okay.
You said that you felt like I should have, being his wife.
Well, if you're his wife, if my husband, my fiance now, I am trying to encourage him to have a relationship with his children. I don't necessarily want to put his business. Nobody knows. They don't know his name, but I try to encourage him every day. Why don't you call your daughter? Let's see what she's up to. Well, there are two that live here. Well, let's call them. Let's talk to them. When was the last time you heard from them? Let's try to talk to them. Let's get together and try to talk to them. So it's like every time I talk to him, I say that to him. So it's like I'm trying to inspire him. Hey, why don't you call it up and see how she's doing today? Or why don't you go on, take him out to lunch? So it's like he's constantly hearing that. Now what he's saying back to me, it may not be what I want to hear, because I'm trying to inspire him to have a relationship with his two daughters. Okay? So at that time, why I asked you that question is I'm just saying I did not know how to have that conversation with you. So I thought that you would automatically say, well, you know what? I'm a woman and I may not have a boy child, but I have two girls. How would I feel if the situation was flipped? I would encourage my girls to have a relationship with their father.
Right.
In my fiance situation, the mother doesn't encourage those two girls. They don't even encourage the two girls to call their father.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I do encourage him. Like I said in the
I didn't know that.
The initial time we sat down. That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, well, how's she gonna, say that she thinks that I should do something when she doesn't know what I actually do?
Well, and see, but Epiphany.
Yeah.
Come on now. That's like, how would I know? We've never been this close to have a conversation. We've never had these conversations, Epiphany. I can't just automatically think, that you should know this. You know what I'm saying? Because that wouldn't be fair. But hey, you have been doing it. Thank you. Because he's the executive producer of the healing sessions. Okay. So I mean, you got some good questions. I ain't gonna lie. These were some.
I have another question.
These are some good questions.
I have another question. So since you brought up your fiance, whom
I don't. Well, let's remain.
I'm
let's
assuming.
Remain
Yeah. We won't say his name, but I'm assuming that I know who this is because you've been dealing with this person for a very long time. I remember us having a conversation the one time we did go shopping, and you shared with me that you put one of his daughters through school. But when we sat down, you said, when I said, your son paid for me to go to school, you were like, well, I just felt like that's something that you could have, taken more initiative.
I didn't feel like I didn't feel like he knew you long enough. I did not feel like he knew you long enough to do that, Epiphany. And then I was still going back to, what if this man wants his family back? What if your daughter's father wants you back? You had an intimate relationship with this man that ended up in a pregnancy of your daughter. Any woman would want to be with their child's father. I did not understand how you were feeling about that.
Because we didn't have
we never had those conversations.
And then you also didn't have a conversation with your son about how close we were.
Exactly, because I never knew that. Exactly, because I never knew at the time that it was that close. I did not think at the time it was that close. I thought that, okay, well, any minute, you know how they say rebound? A person is on a rebound, or they might end up going back to the person that they left. Maybe they just need some time apart.
Yeah.
I did not know that you guys
my daughter's father thought that.
Okay, so if your daughter's
he's like, man, you always go back to your baby father. I'm like, oh, that's a lie.
So if he was thinking that, what made you think that I wouldn't think that? At that time, that's what I thought. I did not know that how deep it was between you and him, or what the situation was with you and him that made you even leave.
So that's what I'm saying. Exactly. You didn't know. So
I was hearing bits and pieces from other people because I was not around so much to hear the whole full story.
But that's what I'm saying. So you had a child and you had to move on from that relationship. I don't know if you would have stuck it out with his dad or not.
I would have, but if the situation was not what it was, because his father was a loving, and sometimes he could be really loving. I mean, we're not going to talk about him in that light because he's not here. I don't talk about the dead, but sometimes he would be really sweet. But that's another conversation. So. I probably would have been, because then there would have been a baby and he would have been there, because when he saw Richard, when I sent him pictures of Richard, he was he was in love. Yeah. But it just, in my mind, I just couldn't get the act out of my mind. Right. Because I was the one that saw the pictures. You weren't there. You didn't see the pictures. No, I didn't. You didn't know the things that happened in that situation with what happened. So. Yeah. I read the transcript. Right. And I'm thinking about, when I seen the pictures, I'm thinking about a total monster. Wow. That could have done what they said that happened. So I did not know, You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I understand how you feel, but it's just,
Yeah.
it's just certain conversations you just don't want to have.
No,
and certain conversations you can't find the words.
So what I'm saying is, so then you left that situation that wasn't healthy for you, and that wasn't even going to work anyway. And then you got married, and then you left that situation.
No, I didn't leave that situation. That person, and this is
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm asking.
I didn't. It was not me that wanted to leave that situation.
Okay.
It was some of the things that he was doing that I did not appreciate, and I have learned that much up until then that I wasn't going to take again.
Right.
Okay, so that's why.
So then it was you that wanted to leave the situation.
Well, yeah, I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave. He was a good guy, though. If there were certain things about him that could have changed, he was a good guy. He had a really good heart, but he could switch on and off. One minute he was nice, and one minute he was a monster. The same thing as Richard's dad. One minute he was great, and then the minute he was a monster. And I guess all of us have that in us. Because one minute we'll be straight up with you and we're nice, and the next minute we'll turn on you. That's human. That's how animals even do it. You know what I'm saying? So we do it as humans. We could be really nice to someone and treat them really good, and the next minute, for some minute, then you just switch off and you're evil and you're mean to them. For what? I mean, I have no words. It's just, it is what it is, I guess.
We've all been through some unfortunate situations, and I can even share, some things that I went through.
Right, and that's why I'm saying to you, you had your relationship with your mom. It wasn't always great. I had my relationship with certain people in my family. It wasn't always great. Or certain situation with Richard's father that wasn't always great. How would you talk to your mom if you had to sit down and do a healing session with her on some of the things you went through with her? You wouldn't be able to have that conversation. You would have to find the words for that. Because it's not just going to flow all out. Why did you treat me the way you did? Why was I in a homeless shelter with my daughter when I had my mother here to take care of me? Why? There's certain, I wouldn't even know how to say it, so I wouldn't want to have it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of getting into that conversation, I would be like, you know what? No, I don't want to have it.
Wow.
Because I don't want to know. You know what I'm saying? That would be deep for me, and I wouldn't want to know that. I would not be able to have the words to come out to really ask those type of questions.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah, I'm different in the way that I will, and that's probably why. My mom and I struggle. Because I will challenge her. To be better, and it really is just for your own personal growth. Because I feel like your children are your reflection.
That's true.
Azaria challenges me all the time. Sometimes I'd be like, girl, ask daddy, because I don't got the answers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but she challenges me all the time. Yeah. But I understand that she is challenging me to grow me. I don't shy away from uncomfortable conversations.
Right.
I like them because I feel like it's something.
Well, back then I did. Back then I did not want to have uncomfortable conversations I'm having now. Yeah. Because this is not very comfortable for me.
Oh. Wow.
Because it's because you're bringing out feelings. Yeah. Feelings come out of conversations like this, and you pick the way you want to handle it. I mean, I know the conversation that we had in that first healing session. You were emotional about that, and that's what came out. But even though you're asking me these questions, just because I'm not showing you I'm emotional doesn't mean that I'm not. Because there's always an inside. Right. So just because you're not seeing crying, you're not seeing me getting emotional, you're not seeing me cry, it doesn't mean that I'm not crying on the inside. Yeah. From some of the conversations, from some of what you're asking me. Right. You see what I'm saying? It's just certain people at this point in my life, I know how to handle that. And it doesn't, I don't always just break down in tears anymore. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm able to deal with it more now. Even if I'm crying on the inside, I'm not going to let you see me crying on the outside. So at what point, Miss Jakki, do you think that you are, or do you think you're ready to have some of these tough conversations with Richard? Well, I think that, that should be a healing session between me and Richard. Yeah. And I look forward to that, you know? And whether it ends up the way mine and yours does, she will be the executive producer of that healing session. Yes, I will. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's an uncomfortable. I'm not going to say it's not going to be. I'm not going to say it's not going to be uncomfortable because it is. Yeah. Because he's going to have his questions, and it's going to be coming at me. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? That might be a total different thing. Yeah. You might see a breakdown from that. Because that's a touchy subject. you know, because I don't think my son realizes how much I really do love him.
I don't think so.
Right. And you know, and I think that's in that whole instance right there, that's going to be healing for both of us.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So did you ever have any really like a relationship with like Richard's ex?
No. 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 I offered one time to let her come and stay with me, and I didn't like the outcome. And we didn't. At that point, I was done. You know, because I didn't like the way she was. I didn't like her whole, you know, and I'm not going to talk about my granddaughter's mother, but I just didn't like her whole vibe. Mm-hmm. She was too much for me. As far as the slackness and the looseness, I just wasn't into that. So we never had a relationship. I think me and you have more relationship or more of a relationship, even though you didn't think it was, than I ever had with her, because I never even talked to her, period.
Yeah. No, and her and I have had conversations about it.
Right, okay.
You know,
I never talked to her, period.
Her and I have had conversations about it.
So,
she said, you know, she let me know, like, you know, they don't think anybody's good enough.
That. I never. One morning when I came home and that girl was in, I was like, up and out. Hey, Richard knows that. I was not happy about that.
Wanted you to change up. I love everything about you. Why you gotta get the nip tuck? You're beautiful without it. I never wanted you to switch up. I honor everything about you. Why you gotta get the nip tuck? I think you're beautiful without it. You're way more beautiful without it. I seen beauty when I seen you. When you look into the mirror, I just wish that you could see it too. From your beautiful skin tone to your pretty little cheekbones, I treat your body like a gemstone that you charge in the sun for an hour, then I put you on. Promise me you'll never switch up, girl. See, you don't gotta get the nip tuck, girl.
Now to a story you will only see here on NBC4. It's 11 o'clock. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Chuck Henry. Well, this one is about a plastic surgery nightmare. A woman turns to a so-called back alley doctor for injections to enhance her body. And the results, devastating. Now that woman is sending a warning to others, and tonight...
I never wanted you to change up. I love everything about you. Why you gotta get the nip tuck? You're beautiful without it. I never wanted you to switch up. I honor everything about you. Why you gotta get the nip tuck? I think you're beautiful without it.